If you do Boston, Erika has a spare room.
I do, actually. I won't pressure you into using it, but if you feel like it, you're welcome to it.
Okay.
Look at that. I just invited someone to sleep at your house without even asking.
That's not the first time you've done that either. He offers up my spare bedroom.
It's so kind of you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 41 of the On the Runs podcast. We are coming to you virtual. We're actually trying something new here. We're trying this new Riverside video streaming app. We're going to see how this works out. We've been having some little bit of difficulties, Erika, with the echoing on your end. But how you doing?
I'm doing just fine, man. How about you?
Well, I am great. The snow is amazing. I went skiing on Friday with Karen, and the powder was epic. And then today it snowed even more, and we were playing in the yard. Lots of yard play in the snow this all weekend with the kids, sledding on the tube and everything. It has been great. And as you can hear, maybe you can hear, they're knocking on the door in my room.
I can, yeah. They're calling you.
They're like, Dad, let me in. I know you're doing the podcast, Dad. I want to be on the pod.
And our next guest coming right up, Tommy and Tyler.
Tommy and Tyler on the pod. So we have an awesome guest, and we can catch up after. But our guest we found on Instagram, and she's a run coach, and she's very used to this weather. But she lives in an area right now when it snows, everything gets shut down.
And it's happened before. It's been on the news.
Recently, you almost ran into her, too. You guys were right next to each other, and you didn't even know it. Do you remember Chicago Marathon?
Chicago Marathon. What was it? I think I started 20 seconds before her, but she finished well ahead of me.
And she had many bathroom breaks and still beat your ass.
She did. But hey, we both did awesome that day.
Ruth was amazing. She has her own thing called a run-iversary.
Mm-hmm.
So do you remember when your run-iversary was?
So are we counting that as our first races or first events, basically, or just the first day we started?
First day you started running. I do not remember the
first day. Nope, but I remember that first race I ever did. And you know what? What if Mike Beeman was there? I was just thinking. It was the Goffstown Gallop in 2009. And who knows? I could have run into him earlier at some other points. But yeah, that was my very first race. Probably started running. Cat. Probably started running a solid 5, 6, 7 months before that. We'll see. I don't know. That was Scooter, by the way.
Yeah, nothing but a giant scooter there jumped in the way.
He scared me. He came out of nowhere.
You know, I think mine would have been in middle school when I was on the cross country team. Always did the Atkinson road race, and I think it was a 5K. And it started at Pope Field, and you ran down a field or down a hill, and then it ended with the hill. You ran back up the hill, and so I remember Mike Lynch. We would always run by Mike Lynch's house, and he would. Mike is Sarah's boyfriend.
Oh, cool!
So we'd run by his house, and his family would be out there watching all the runners. So I remember that race. Speaking of Mike Beeman, you ran into his college roommate. Let's not drop the name. Everyone can find out after.
That was so fun.
Let's get into our interview with Ruth. And if people listen to the Mike Beeman episode, you know who his college roommate was. And we'll get into that after. How about that?
That sounds like a plan.
All right.
Happy to do a race recap, too.
That's right. Everybody, enjoy the interview with Ruth, and we'll see you on the other side. All right, Scooter, get out of the frame, Scooter.
Had to block the cat butt.
Nothing but a big, giant my view there. So see you guys on the other side. Our next guest on the pod is someone we found on Instagram because she makes some funny reels about pooping and running, and she just happens to be a run coach. And we're like, hey, Ruth, we want to have you on the podcast. So Ruth Atkinson, welcome to On the Runs. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm doing really well, really well. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. I know this has been a long time coming. Since I believe October, we've been trying to get you, but you are definitely a girl after our own heart, and we are very, very pleased to get to finally talk to you.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited also.
So let's get started with where are you from? Because I didn't even do enough research to look up where you were from. And you were just like, well, wait, 6 o'clock your time or 6 o'clock my time? And I'm like, oh, she's not even in the Eastern time zone. So where are you from?
That's okay. So actually, it's a funny story. I'm actually originally from Buffalo, New York. So I am from the Eastern time zone. It's where I was born and raised, and I now live in a suburb of Dallas, Texas. So I migrated here in 2017. Very different climate from Buffalo, New York, but I am now in Dallas, Texas. So.
Well, I'll have to ask then, what's the weather like down there in Dallas? Because it's January here, and the weather is very warm for New Hampshire, but it's typically below freezing for a long period of time, and no one goes running outside, or at least we don't.
I am a fair weather runner. I definitely like the indoors as opposed to the frigid outside.
Yeah, it can get cold here, but cold here is not cold there. Cold here is like when you wake up, it's 28 or 30 degrees, and during the day, it's like 40 degrees. It's like it's cold, but you can run outside. There's not usually ice situation. So today it is also abnormally warm. I think it's like 75 out today. I'm like sweating in my house. So.
I'll take 75 any day.
What happens when it snows in Dallas, Texas? Does the whole state shut down?
Yes, it does. It's very different than the Northeast, and mostly because we're just not prepared for it. And I think that's what I tell, my family always says, what are you doing? You got an inch of snow. And I'm like, I know. But, I think there's like one salt truck for the Dallas. So we're just like not prepared to handle it. Our houses aren't prepared to handle it down here. So yeah, if it snows or ices at all, usually like school's canceled and places are not open. So
you're from the Northeast, so you're used to the snow and the bad weather, so it doesn't really bug you. I had the same thing when I lived in North Carolina. I was like, I can drive in this snow to work, no problem. And my boss would be like, no one come in today. It's a dusting of snow out there. And I was like, dusting of snow?
That's always a problem, though. You can drive in it, but nobody else can. So you're like, fine.
Yeah, and if there's like ice and like the roads aren't salted, like it's just it's a different situation down here. But yeah, I am different. I know people like layer up to go run sooner than I layer up to go run. Like if it's 35 or warmer, I'm usually still wearing shorts. With like a long sleeve. But I know a lot of my friends, anything under like 50, they have like leggings and a long sleeve and like are very bundled. So
definitely.
Just different. Yeah.
So what brought you to Dallas, Texas?
So my husband actually is from this area, and we met in 2015. He had just finished up student teaching. He was a teacher too at the time. And I was still doing like 2 years of college. I went to West Virginia University. So we were doing long distance, and ultimately he had gotten a job and was still down in Texas. And I had like $120 in my bank account. And I was like, all right, I will come to you. I was tired of long distance. So I moved down here and ultimately got a job, and it's all worked out. So.
Awesome. So you mentioned that you are also a teacher?
I am a teacher. Yeah, I teach high school choir.
Oh, very cool.
Not close to running at all, but that is what I do, besides bird coaching, obviously.
Let's talk about how you got into running, because you first got into running and then you got into run coaching. So we would like to hear, before we hear some of your awesome running stories, how you became a runner.
Yeah, the origin story. Let's go.
Okay, yeah, I love the origin story. I can still picture the night that I like became a runner, so to speak. It was actually after I had moved to Texas. I haven't really been running that long. It was in 2018. And I just remember I was in a new place, and my husband had friends and he was gaming online, and I had been gaming with him long distance, but it wasn't like my hobby and it wasn't like a passion of mine. I just did it because, and I just remember being so mad because I had nothing that I just did. And I was like so upset that I just like went outside. It was like 9:30 at night. And I just like went outside and just started running in our apartment complex. And of course I made it like, I don't know, a 1/10 of a mile, and I stopped and was like, oh, that feels horrible. But I like also really great at the same time. And so that's when I was like, maybe I could like try doing that more. And so I remember like waking up then before school and trying to run instead of doing like the indoor workouts that I had been doing. And eventually I ran a mile and I was like, wow, this is anyway. And that's how I like kind of got addicted. I just like self-taught myself to keep trying to go further. And then eventually I was like, well, I might as well sign up for a race. And, you know, once that happens, usually the rest goes tumbling in the snowball effect. So that's how I got into it.
That's awesome. That's pretty much what I did. I started running like it was outside of college, like 2009, I think. And yep, it was just that goal race I had. And I just kept plugging along, even though sometimes running sucks, but the more you stick to it, the more consistent you'll be.
So you had a goal race. Do you remember the first time you signed up for a race?
Yeah. I mean, I had been running like a mile and then I was trying to run 2 miles. And I remember I had just run my first like 5K, like around like the apartment neighborhoods on a weekend. And I remember going home and telling my husband like, well, I think I could like run in an actual race, like sign up to race people at this. Like, you know, I was so new. And in my head, I thought, well, I can already run a 5K. So why would I do that? And so I signed up for a 10K.
All right.
Yeah. And so I did that. I remember it was like October. I celebrate like my runniversary in October because that's when I really remember like trying harder. Yeah, it was October of 2018 and I signed up for a 10K the first week of December.
Very nice.
It was a bit ambitious, but I didn't know. So and my first race I remember is actually one of my like, oh crap moments that we talk about because it was kind of rainy and I told my husband the pace that I had been running at, not thinking I'd run faster. And so he had stayed in the car until like that exact time to come to the finish line. And I ended up finishing way before then and like tapping on his window, being like, well, I'm done. You missed it. And like, he didn't even see me finish. And that was but then I had caught the bug and I remember getting breakfast tacos after and saying, I'm doing a half. And yeah, anyway, then it just kind of spiraled. So
good progression. I love it.
Yeah.
I remember the first time Ashley, my wife, the first time I watched her do a triathlon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I had the same thing happen where I had a 4-month-old baby in the car and she gets up super early to go there and set up. And I'm like, okay, I'll be there at the end. What time are you starting and all that? And I'm stuck in traffic. And then I finally get there and I'm walking with Adeline, my daughter, around and we're trying to find her. And I'm like, she can't be done by now. And so I walk down like about 100, 200 yards in front of the finish line. And there she is hanging out on the side with some friends, with Scott, actually.
Oh, no way.
And like, she's like, I finished 25 minutes ago. I'm like, what? I'm like, you're a lot faster than I thought you were, because it's the first time I ever went to a triathlon. And in that point in my life, I was like, no way I could ever do this. That was the day.
She did one before you?
Oh, she's done them long before me.
Huh.
Yeah.
Go, Ashley.
But
yeah.
I was at that race. I was at that race watching people do this on a Huffy bike. And I'm like,
that would be me.
I'm like, if I can learn how to swim, I can do this. Mm-hmm. So, and then I did. And that's part of my story. But this isn't my story. This is Ruth's story. Cool. So that's how you got into running. What year did you say that was 2019?
Yeah. That December race was 2018. So I just celebrated like really not that long, I suppose, 4 years of running. I really just kind of like decided I loved it and dove in and haven't looked back. So
when you dive in, are you like looking up how to become a better runner, or are you like, trying to Googling training plans for your half marathon you got signed up, or did you just like continue to go outside and run on your own?
I ran on my own for a while. Once I did that first 10K and I realized what it was like to run with people, that adrenaline feeling is so different. I actually found a running group in the area that we were living in at the time. And I went to meet them like one morning for a group run. And then I just kind of got plugged in there. And I just really looked up to people. I consulted the internet a little bit. I became a nerd about like running shoes. I'd watch people review shoes and like, that's what I did at night to wind down. I'd like watch videos about running and running shoes. But I really used people who had done things before to like help me train, I suppose. So I wouldn't call them like a coach yet at that point to me, but if they were, they were training for the same half marathon that I was crazy and signed up for. I just sort of like went to track with that group of people, ran their workout, went to the long runs, ran their long runs, just kind of like followed whatever their coach's plan was for them. So.
All right, so I'm on your Instagram. You have a unicorn with a BQ ×1. So you qualified for the Boston Marathon.
I did. I qualified at Chicago this past year.
Oh, that's recent.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that was my BQ marathon.
So
is that excited.
You have plans to go to Boston this spring?
Well, it was the beginning of the next cutoff, so I can apply to run in 2024.
And I hate to make you do this again, Erika, but before we started recording, the two of you realized you almost met in Chicago.
Yeah, we were scrolling on your Instagram and we saw that that you were there, and I was like, I think I was in the same corral as you. And I did a little internet stalking, and I started the race 20 seconds before you did, yet you finished like a solid half hour before I did. So you blew right by me, and well done to you, because that is like the perfect day, and you just blew it out of the water. I'm so proud.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much. And it really was the perfect day. Like everything clicked. And that's what I tell, like, I've never felt like that in a race really before. So to have it happen in a marathon, like that's a long time that anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell my athletes that too, like you could be having a great day and then all of a sudden your day is not great. And I kept waiting for something to drop, like I kept like every time I passed a mile marker, I hit 20 and I was like, I feel freaking great. Maybe 21 won't feel this good. I was like so cautious the whole time, and nothing ever happened. I really did. It was a really great race for me. So thank you.
Were you going into that race hoping for the BQ? Did you think you were close?
Yeah, I was, to be honest. That was my A goal. Well, my A goal was a little bit faster, so I guess technically my B goal, but both of those had me BQing. I was a little bit apprehensive because in the later part of the training cycle, I had somehow hurt my back. I'm sure it was a combination of things, but actually I spent a good 8 to 10 days not running, 4 weeks out from the marathon. And I, at that point I was like, well, I'm going to go in and just be curious, and I knew I hadn't lost a ton of fitness. So yeah, it was the goal. So
I want to mention real quick, I noticed this.
What?
Our guy, Hype Man Dave, would love her. If she backs up a little bit, you'll see her t-shirt there, Buffalo Bills.
Oh, you got a Bill shirt?
Yeah. I'm from there, so.
Part of Bill's Mafia there. Dave would love you.
Is Dave from there? Or he's always been from Rhode Island, but he just is a Bills fan?
I have no clue. You know what?
I don't know what started that.
He probably told us on episode 10 how he became a Bills fan.
We'll just cut this part out.
But Dave, let us know. So, Ruth, so you started running in 2018, and you're now a coach, but did you find a coach in between then?
Yes. So I had a coach. When did I get my first coach?
Oh, there might be more.
It was after. Yeah. I have not had the same coach the whole time. It was after my first marathon. So I ran my first marathon on my 1-year run-iversary in 2019.
I love that she calls it that.
Yeah, you have to. It's fun. Run-iversary. You have to. It's a big deal. And after that marathon, I felt like absolute shite. So should I not say that?
You can say whatever you want.
I felt like poop. Anyways, and I was like, I should maybe have someone help me instead of just following other people's plans. So that's when I got a coach. I worked with Lifelong Endurance. They're awesome. Coach Lexi and Coach Andrew. And then I switched over to my current coach who I have now, Coach Michelle, and she's with McCurdy Trained. You may have heard of them, that coaching company. So that's who I'm working with now. All coaches need coaches. So I will.
I was just going to say, that's so cool. So you're a running coach, but you have your own running coach too.
I do. And she has one and her coach has one. And, if you're not always learning and trying to get better and, then that's how I grow and be better for my athletes. And also I don't want to have to think for myself. Like I'm thinking for other people. I just want someone else to tell me what to do.
There you go.
So,
Coachception.
Right. Not only do I think that is
Yeah.
awesome that you do that, but that's so smart that you do that. You can always learn more. And sometimes you don't criticize yourself enough. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But, when you have someone else telling you, maybe you listen better. I don't know. That's how it works for me.
yeah. And I mean, I'm someone that needs the voice of reason. Like, I always tell people that a coach is your voice of reason, because I'm here to tell you when you're doing a good job, when you think you're not. And I'm also here to tell you when you're like making too many excuses for yourself and like you need to kick it up. Like I think being the voice of reason is the best way to describe it, because sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit for what we're doing if we're that type of person that's always like, yeah, but and sometimes we give ourselves too much credit for what we're doing. So that's how I like to look at it.
So when did you decide to become a coach?
I decided, so I guess I should say when I found running, I was sort of really into like fitness in general. I had said that I replaced, like indoor workouts that I was doing at home with running. So at the time I just had really discovered fitness in general as my passion. I hadn't narrowed it down to running quite yet. And so before I became a running coach, I was actually a certified NASM trainer. So I was like a personal trainer and had that certification before I did the run coaching. And so I think it kind of bled into it. I had a few clients at the time who were working with me in like general fitness, and then they ended up asking to run. And it like was at the same time that I realized I loved running more than just lifting. And so it was like this like perfect bleeding of my clients becoming running athletes. And then I started working with McCurdy, and they used the VDOT app, which is like the Jack Daniel's running formula and all of that. And there's a coaching certification that you can get that uses the VDOT system. And so I like jumped fully into that. And that's the certification that I got. And then I really started just kind of building the business from there. So
what's the name of your coaching program?
It's Run with Ruth Coaching. It's nothing fancy. It's just my Instagram handle with coaching
works.
added on.
Yeah, no, that works. So one of the things you mentioned to me that you want to talk about are what some of your biggest goals are as a coach for others. So do you want to talk about that as a coach, what your goals are?
Yeah, I want people to feel empowered, right? I am, I make plans for you that you can follow, but ultimately you're the one that's executing them and doing them, and understanding the why behind what I put on paper is really important for you to understand, like why I'm asking you to run easy most of the time. Because if you don't understand why, you're going to get real upset with me. And so I think like helping to give my athletes context behind why they're doing what they're doing is just as important as giving them the runs that I want them to do. Or telling them that they can't race all out every single month of the year if they want to PR at certain things. So just empowering, I think, is a word that I like.
I appreciate run coaches. I've worked with a few in my past, but I like the accountability factor, because if it's me, I will tend to make those excuses like, oh, I'm really tired today. I'll get to that one tomorrow, or like I'll push off strength training. And that we know as runners is never a good thing to do. I mean,
we won't stretch.
Yes, not stretching. So having somebody on your side who can like spell it out for me and just be like, look, if you do this, you will be a healthy runner. You will improve. Like that is one of the top reasons I would look towards a coach. So I appreciate you doing this for all of your athletes.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
How many athletes do you have currently?
Right now I have capped it at 25. I have a wait list right now. And so when, ultimately if somebody decides that they have a different goal and they step away, or it's not their season of life for it, or, whatever it happens to be, then I onboard some new athletes. But with full-time teaching, especially in the fine arts, it's a lot of after school hours. I like to make sure that I can give everyone the attention they deserve as an athlete. So right now it's 25. I'm hoping in the near future to potentially go full-time coaching. If that happens, then I would expand that much larger probably. But
how do these people find you, and where do they come from? Are they all more Texas based, or are they around the country or the world? Do you do things in person, or do you do virtual?
That's a great question. I would say it's kind of half and half right now. Half are local. The running club I mentioned that I joined when I first started, as well as another running club that I run with more often now, who I live closer to. They have programs that I write plans for now for people who are just wanting a plan to follow for like if they're new to a half marathon, things like that. So some athletes actually find me just from the local running clubs, and then they come on as one-on-one. And then others like just find me through Instagram. Social media is a wild place, and
That's how we found you.
Really, yeah, exactly. I've made a lot of connections on there, and people find me and we chat, and they come on board. So it's kind of mixed, half from here and half from all over the United States.
Well, that's great. So the people though who are local, when you do your coaching sessions, do you go out for coffee or tea, or do you do it online at your house, just like how we're doing this here?
Yeah, I don't do in-person sessions right now. There's too many local athletes to really, I couldn't see everyone really during a week's time. So sometimes I'll see them, like if I'm at a 5 a.m. track workout that's like the group run for that week, and they're also there, then I'm there to yeah, you nailed that 1200. But otherwise, we just do like virtual check-ins. Once a week, I check in with my athletes, and sometimes people request a phone call, and sometimes we just text. Just depends on the person. But most of it is just virtual, even the in-person or even the local athletes. I just see them more.
Well, that's awesome. So one of the big things we're about is storytelling and running stories, and I know you got a few for us, so we'll get back to coaching at the end, and we can tell people how they can find you and join that wait list. But I know you got some cool stories for us that you mentioned. So
do share.
And
don't be afraid to spare the details. No,
no detail.
Yeah.
No, wait. Wait. What do we say it?
I'll just let you say it.
Spare no details. Is that how we say it? It
Yeah,
doesn't sound right to me.
Spare no details.
God damn it. Tell us everything, Ruth. Tell us everything.
It's kind of hard to know where to start, really. I think I vividly remember the first time that I was out on a trail. There's a trail actually really close to my neighborhood, which is super nice. But I was out there in like the daylight hours, and there were other people, obviously, like also on this trail. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, I have to go to the bathroom, and I'm not getting to a bathroom. Like I knew in that moment that was not happening. And so I just remember like finding an area of brush where I knew that I could not get poison ivy and make it deep enough where people maybe wouldn't see me. And just squatting and letting it happen. And I was like, you know what? That actually wasn't as bad as I thought. And maybe that was bad, that it wasn't as bad of an experience as I thought it would be, because after that, I think I just got so used to doing it. And I am not afraid. I do talk about it on my Instagram a lot, but I have a very sensitive stomach. I have learned with running. I use UCAN almost exclusively. Seems to be one of the only things I can handle well, especially on long runs when it's hot down here. Anyway, it's just been a thing. But there is one time that I could not make it to a brush. I was out in the daylight and it was happening immediately. I don't know about anyone else. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if you can tell it's coming. And then you have a quarter mile. For me, it's boom, it happened.
Oh no,
there is no leading up to it.
I feel like that's a question for you. How do you know when it's happening? For me, it's usually oh no, I might have 10 minutes to figure it out, because it'll I'll feel the rumbles and then it'll go away for a little bit, but then it'll come back and I'm okay, it's go time. We got to figure this out. But for you, I don't know.
It happens quick sometimes, way too quick than what you want.
Mm-hmm.
But I sometimes more know before I start a run, I'm like, I got to delay this. I got to delay this run because I'm like, I haven't yet, or it's going to happen. And there's times when I meet you or Shauna or somebody for a run, and I'm like, this isn't good going in. And about 3 miles in, usually less than that, then it happens.
Yep. Shit happens.
Yeah, it does happen. I think for me, the most curious thing is that it happens even if I go before.
Oh.
Like sometimes, like I'll go before, I feel fine. And then usually it's like if I have like a hard effort in the middle of a long run, 3 by 1 mile at half marathon with a mile recovery. It's during like the second recovery mile that all of a sudden my body's like, and we have more for you. Congratulations. And I'm like, okay, well,
That's
anyways,
not a prize
the very
you want to
worst
win.
time- No, it's not. I don't like the prize. I never asked for the prize.
No.
It was given to me unwanted.
Do you ever get nervous before a race like Chicago? You had an A goal. You had a goal of making the Boston Marathon and getting the qualifying time. And you're like, shit, you better not screw this up for me.
So I fully intended on like just letting it happen if that was the case. And if you read my recaps, I don't know if you did, but I wrote some recaps of the Chicago Marathon, and I didn't, number 2 never happened, but I actually peed my pants that day at least 12 times during the marathon. I could not, it was like mile 2. I don't know if I was like too cold at the start. I had a ton of electrolytes in my bottle. I didn't think I was overhydrated. Well, regardless, whatever it was like mile 2. And I was like, okay.
Well, I know what those porta potty lines were like at the very, like right as you were about to go into the corral. They were insane.
They were so long. And I had gone twice before. And anyway, I knew myself. I felt that. And I was like, this is going to be happening today. And so I just remember the girl who I was running next to at like mile 3.5, she like had pulled off to go to the bathroom. And I like watched how far she had to run just to get to the porta potty. And I'm like, no, not today.
Lose so much time.
I just let it happen. And then at the next aid station, I put a water on me and drank a Gatorade. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then after that, every aid station, it just like happened. Like every time I took a sip, some came out. I don't know at that point if it was like pelvic floor dysfunction or what, but I could not keep it in. It just like kept coming out the whole race. And I felt fine. So I was like, well, it's clearly not hindering anything. And anyway, by the end, I was like, I couldn't even keep track. I couldn't even tell you how many times it just kept happening.
Well, peeing yourself is fine because at the end of the race, no one's
gonna know.
No one knows.
No one knows
unless they're right next to you and they smell you. No one knows. It's not like Addie when she crapped herself 3 times and the people at the finish line have the water bottle in the middle and they go, "What do we do with her?"
Yeah, you can get away with the number ones.
Yeah, you can. There was a long run where I did crap my pants and it was like daylight, right? And I knew people were looking at me. Like I had short spandex shorts on. It was like all down the back of my leg. Like, but I'm not going to stop in the middle of my log. I'm so stubborn. I think that's the thing too. Like even if I'm close to home, I'm not going to go home to like change my pants if I'm in the middle of like a hard session. Like I'm going to finish the hard work block of my run and like then I'll go fix it. I am stubborn and I like fully admit that.
That's like a true athlete though. You have a workout, you have what you got to do, you're going to finish. Why not? If you're already a mess, what difference does it make?
I
right?
appreciate that.
That's what I'm saying, you know? Right. I'll just like sit in the grass for a second and like roll around and then get back up.
I'm not that hardcore dedicated, I think. I find a way to go clean up and take care of it so I don't suffer later. I remember doing a workout in my neighborhood and I'm like, okay, I'm going to purposely take a couple extra turns here and get to the house and take care of it because I don't want to ruin. I would rather ruin the workout instead of getting the awful chafing. That's what I wanted in that run. Yeah. I remember that one particularly before the Ironman. I was like, I don't need this. I don't need chafing for the next couple of days to ruin my next training day, but I appreciate what you were doing. Excuse me. I appreciate what you were doing there.
That's fair. That is fair. The shower after was horrible. Like
Oh,
after
it's
some of those runs, I do remember that being horrible, like taking my shorts off in the shower and just like burning everywhere. It's horrible.
sometimes I'm like, how can I get away with not hurting in the shower here? So one of the tips I have is I have kids, diaper rash cream.
Oh,
And I'm like, and it works instantly, like the next overnight, right? So you put it
Okay.
on overnight and the next day you're good to go. And I'm like, well, I used to work out a ton at night. I'm like, well, I just won't shower and I'll put the diaper rash cream on. And then the next morning, the shower seems fine.
Okay.
And it's almost fine, but then it's like, oh, now you stink, and you go into bed and you smell and everything. And it's like, no, I need the shower. So it's like do I shower or do I stink up the place for the night and not shower? And does anyone notice? Because
Yikes.
I can deal with
Yep.
my stink, but
I feel that. We have a bathroom. So when you run or when you go into our house, there's like a little like guest bathroom in the main living area, and it's closer than our master bathroom that's like further into the house. And usually when I'm on my long run or when I'm running, it's early in the morning and my husband's not up yet. And so I use the excuse that it's not to wake him up, but almost always I go to the closer bathroom because it's 9 times out of 10 like an emergency situation if I'm running into the house needing to go to the bathroom. And so that poor bathroom probably smells so bad on some of those days because I'm in there like after already having crapped my pants and like trying to fix it, and the washer's right there, and then it's just like hot washing smell of like crapped pants, and like it's the whole thing is horrible. And my husband always knows because he kind of like walks out and the wash is going and I'm showered and he kind of looks at me like, did it happen again? I'm always like, yeah. Bless his heart.
now is he a runner or what does he do? I know he teaches and he games, but are you the only runner in the house?
Yeah, he is not really a runner. I say not really. Once in a while, he will walk run if he's feeling it that day. But he's doesn't really love endurance things. So he's a super good supporter. Honestly, he comes and hands me bottles places and things like that. But he is not a runner himself. He actually he marched drum corps. I don't know if y'all know what that is. And I marched drum corps. It's like professional summer marching band that you have to audition for. I guess is how I would describe it. That's how we met. And so when we met, we were both doing that type of endurance activity, but it was for the music, not for the endurance part of the activity. So he was a band teacher. We were both music people. And he actually just left teaching this year, and now he does like ACH banking with AutoNation.
That's a
Totally
big change.
different.
Right. Totally
Different. He wanted to change, and he's really enjoying it now. So yeah, his hobby is video games, and we actually have a saltwater reef tank in our house. That's his hobby. He makes saltwater in our downstairs and has corals and saltwater
awesome.
fish. It's very cool.
Yeah. I want to say I appreciate the few guests we've had who are gamers because you have the best mics and headphones and you got the best audio quality. And they probably know more about audio and the correct, streaming service to use than me. We'll figure that out later.
Well, I have a question. So you had mentioned that you pretty much exclusively use the UCAN. How long did it take you to figure out your nutrition and what worked for you, what didn't? Like a lot of trial and error, I'm sure, a lot of accidents here and there. Like just talk about that a little bit if you want.
Yeah. So training for my first marathon, I would say that I just didn't really know about fueling. The people who I was running with were like, I don't need fuel. And so I was unfortunately I call it raised in the camp of not fueling properly when I started running. And so I just remember trying all different gels for my second marathon. I ran that marathon kind of during COVID. It was a super small put on marathon for 50 people. It was so small, y'all. 9 loops. I never want to run a 9-loop marathon again. Side note. But for that race, I was working with Starla Shines on Instagram. She's a nutritionist, dietitian, and she just had me try everything. So like for 8 weeks in a row on every long run, I went to the local running store, grabbed what looked fun off the shelf, and just like trial and error with the gels and the chews. I really thought that like honey stinger would have been okay because it's honey, but the honey stinger was actually one of the worst things that I tried. Like almost instantly, it was no good. So
Oh no.
we ruled that out. Endurance tap is the other thing that also works well for me. It's like the maple syrup, ginger, sea salt
Gotcha.
gels. So that and UCAN ended up being the winners, and UCAN just, I don't know, it just felt the best. I have steady energy the whole time. I'm actually an ambassador for UCAN now. And they just came out with the little edge packets that are like, they look like gels, but it's the same as their energy powder. And so that really helped me. I used UCAN in Chicago all the way up till my like 23. And then I had one of the little endurance tap maple syrups at the end, and
Gave it that boost.
yeah,
There you go.
It worked well. Yeah, it did. I was like, I love syrup at that point.
Nice.
So I'm looking at your link tree, and that is where, if you're listening, you can find her UCAN 10% off discount code here. It's UCAN, the letter U, and then Can, C-A-N. But I want to ask you about two other things here, because I hear ads for these. I see them on Instagram or on other podcasts. But tell me about Whoop, and tell me about Inside Tracker.
Yeah. Okay. These are two things that are really cool, especially if you like data, I would say. I'll start with Inside Tracker, actually. Inside Tracker is a blood test service, and it allows you to not have to go through your like doctor or physician to get blood work done in order to see the biomarkers that are important for training, such as like iron, ferritin, B12, folate, right? There are like certain biomarkers, vitamin D, that if you're an endurance athlete, you want to make sure are optimal for an endurance athlete and not optimal in the eyes of a physician who's just reading the like Quest lab sheet, right? So for those who don't know, you know, something that's optimal to your doctor's eye might not actually be optimal to you if you're trying to be an endurance athlete. And so what Inside Tracker does, which I think is so very smart and very cool, is they take your blood results and you make a profile and you tell them what type of an athlete you are. And they ask you all these questions to get an idea for your lifestyle and your diet and how you eat and how you sleep and all of those things. And then they take your blood results and they analyze it based on that. And then they give you the results through the eyes of an endurance athlete rather than a normal, what the doctor would say. And so like for me, I found out that my iron was a really great range actually for an endurance athlete, which is hard sometimes for females especially, but my ferritin was really low. And so trying to like work with then someone else can be tricky if they're not sure like that you're an endurance athlete. And so Inside Tracker then in their app recommends things for you to eat and things for you to do with your lifestyle that will then optimize those biomarkers. So it's a really long answer, but it's super in depth. And so it's basically an app that tests your blood, tells you where you are, and tells you what to do to try to fix it in really short terms.
You're not our first person who does Inside Tracker. Kind of a funny story. Addie Zarenner did Inside Tracker. And Insider Magazine wanted to interview her, and she just thought that was Inside Tracker wanted to get a couple quotes. She didn't realize it was big national magazine company. You know, after the article came out, she goes, "Oh, wait a second."
That was big.
What about Whoop?
So Whoop is a wearable device. It's you wear it just like a watch, but usually on your other wrist from your watch. And it's not for anything really other than tracking your recovery. So a lot of people look at like a resting heart rate only, like, oh, my resting heart rate went down, so I'm getting fitter, which is usually true. However, heart rate variability, which is the difference in time between your heartbeats, that actually paints a better picture as to how ready your body is to adapt to strain. So what's cool about the Whoop is it measures your daily strain, which is like the cardiovascular load no matter what you're doing during the day. And then it couples that with your recovery. They give you a recovery score every day that takes into account your sleep, how much sleep you got based on what it thinks that you need. And it learns you over time. So I used it a lot during marathon training. And for me, it was really cool to see that a whole day at school, like up on my feet and teaching, was the equivalent strain of running 7 miles easy.
Wow.
And so when I was off in the summer, I was recovering really well. And when I went back to school, I was like, well, I'm like maybe more stressed, I guess. But, I felt that way because I basically was doubling my strain, so to speak, even though I wasn't doubling my running volume. So it's just, I'm a big nerd. Clearly I dive into things pretty deep.
I love
but
it.
if you're interested in that, then that is what the Whoop does.
Well, if you're interested in Whoop or Inside Tracker or UCAN or anything, if you find Ruth on Instagram, you can go to her link tree, and she has try Whoop 3. I can't even say that. Try Whoop free for 30 days, 20% off Inside Tracker. She has other benefits that you can get through her too.
I might take advantage of that Inside Tracker thing. I've been hearing a lot about it. It is a little pricey, but with a nice discount, I might be more inclined to give it a shot.
It is. It is but with the 20%, it's not super bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do think the app that it comes with, I feel is so worth it because it just gives you such pointed advice for your results. So
very nice.
So before we get to our final couple big questions we have for you that we haven't prepped you for, which is even more exciting.
They're not hard.
Exciting.
Well, at least my question is correct. Don't worry.
Tell everyone how they can find you and how they can find this link tree as well.
Yeah, so Instagram is probably the easiest way to find me. It's at Run with Ruth, all one word. You can send me a message on there. I'm pretty good about checking my DMs, and the link tree is right in my bio. So if you have questions about coaching, or you want to look at the website or look at the things that are in my link tree, or just laugh at reels about poop, then you can find it all there.
They are good too. She's really good at making reels, something that we got to get better at here in 2023. Okay. Erika needs how long?
It doesn't open for 2 minutes, but
okay.
I have a race that I'm waiting to sign up for,
Yeah.
and it usually fills up very fast. So it's funny
Oh my gosh,
when it's funny when you were saying that you did the 9-lap marathon. I'm gonna sign up for a 12-hour ultra, which is 2.5 mile laps over and over and over and over and over and over again. So
God bless you.
Lord, please help this one.
It's
Oh
funny,
my gosh.
I've found a peace. I'm at peace with laps now. I've done so many races that are like
because
that.
the aid station is the most epic aid station in the world. This is
pretty good.
This is a race in Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Bristol? It's not Bristol, Rhode Island.
Yes,
it's Bristol,
yep.
Rhode Island. It's in some cool, amazing, beautiful state park, and I love going to do crew support.
He just comes and chills. He
fallen
hangs
in
out,
love
makes
with
friends. It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We make friends there. I can't wait. I said, if you don't do the race this year, we're going back to volunteer.
I still think you should volunteer, but I'm going to keep racing as long as they'll have me. So,
well, you're doing the 12. Maybe if we'll figure it out. If we spend the night or something and we can volunteer because some crazy people there do a 24-hour, but this is why they're extra crazy. It starts at 7 p.m. So her race is a 12-hour through the night.
Mm-hmm.
So these people who are doing the 24-hour, they run through the night, and then they got to run all day, and it is so hot
it's in
and
the
humid.
heat of the summer. It's the beginning of August, so it's quite warm. Last year was perfect, but usually there's 95% humidity, 90-degree weather. It depends. But last year I think was 75 with 60% humidity. I was like, chef's kiss. It couldn't have been any better.
Beautiful.
The first year, it was uncomfortable for everyone there, not just the runners, but anyone who was there. It was so uncomfortable. So I'm going to let her go.
I just need a couple seconds.
Yeah, she's going to sign up.
That's fine.
So since we're talking about heat and weather, I'll ask you about that. You're in Texas. How is it running in the summer? Because we have another friend of ours of the pod. He lives in Georgia, and it is hot, humid, and sticky. He calls it the Beeman points. He adds the temperature, the dew point, and the humidity. And anything over 200 is like death. And that happens quite often. So how is it are you a winter runner down there? Do you do a lot more training in the winter, or do you still run in the summer? Or what do you do when the weather is so hot? Because it's Texas. Texas is hot.
Texas is freaking hot. I think because I'm a teacher, the best time for me to train, unfortunately, is during the summer. Like I always train for fall marathons through the summer because I have so much time to recover. And so unfortunately, I spend a lot of time running when it's just, we call it Satan's armpit. Um, and it's just really hot and humid. And I don't know, you just kind of do it. I think when I'm running during the school day, or when I'm running during the school year, I should say, I get up early anyways. Like I run at 5 a.m. because I'm just not a nighttime runner person. And so I kind of just stick to that. Like I run pretty early in the summer before the sun comes up, usually, so that I don't have to run in the middle of the day. If I miss, it's horrible. Like if you end up running at 11 a.m., it's horrible. So
Erika is live here. She just got in to the Anchor Down Ultra live on the pod.
Oh, am I live? Oh, yeah. Yay, me. 12 hours. Here I come.
Oh, no, you're not live. You're just on the pod.
Not ready for the 24 hours of that yet, but we'll see. Another 12 on the book.
Look at that. Signing up for a race.
Thank you for allowing me to do that. I apologize for derailing our session, but
signing up during an interview on the fly. We have really come a long way here. Originally, we thought we were going to have to stop the interview. I'm just like, I'm going to ask her about how hot it is in Texas.
It's perfect. Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah. I totally get it. I'm glad you got it.
Thank you so much.
So we asked two big questions, and you have zero preparation. Now, usually for mine, there's not much prep, but what I do is I go into your Instagram and I scroll down deep and try to find some of your original content.
Okay.
You have a ton of reels. And so I'm like, you know what? I found a reel that looked funny, and it just happened to be, I got a screenshot of it, and I'm going to show you.
Now he's going to go actually find it. Here we go.
So for the people wondering, and I'm just going to put the phone up to the mic, but this is a very common reel. I made one for you at Anchor Down. It's this one here.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
So the best part about it is the caption photo you use to display it. And this is your caption photo right here.
That looks like me.
So you got one leg in the air. You got your shirt above your head, swinging it around like that song, North Carolina.
Raise up, Katie Pablo. There we go.
She's not fully topless. She has a sports bra on, everyone. This is social media. You can't do that.
Yeah, PG.
So what's going on in that photo and that reel?
It was hot. And I remember I was most of the time after my run, I'm in a pretty good mood and I feel goofy. And I remember that day I had like a pretty good run, but I just remember it was so warm. And even with the tank top on, I was like, this is not it. I just cannot. And so I ended up, usually if I take my tank top off while I'm running, or sometimes I don't start with it on when in the summer, but actually like wrap it around my wrist to use to like wipe sweat off of me as I'm running. And so I had it on my wrist, and that real audio was like popular at the time. And I had been taking some pictures just for the Instagram. I guess that's how I do it. Like on weekends when the sun is up and I'm done running, I do a lot of content so that then I have it for during the week to make into things. And so, yeah, I had been taking like jumping pictures with my phone, and I don't know. I had gotten into somehow that position and was like, this is great. This is the perfect opportunity to have something with this reel.
I love it. I came across and I'm like, yep, that's the one. That's the one. I love it. Usually in the reaction from people sometimes, most of the time is like, oh my God, he's digging, he's going deep. And then they find something. And
you do pick some weird ones. Like I can't even, what was it with Tara and the golf balls and I don't even remember which one you picked for her.
This all started with Michaela because I came across a post from Michaela and it was just her showing her booty in some underwear.
Yes, please describe. A
picture of her booty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the deep dive.
And it was like promoting the underwear or something. It had to do with like, as a kid, you would have days of the week underwear. Had to do
Oh,
something
yeah.
with that, but it had to do with running.
Oh, didn't she have like long run on one of them
Yes.
and like
Oh,
speed
that's
workout or
cute.
something? I forget what the rest of them were, but
That's awesome. That's
Good stuff,
genius.
good stuff.
I need those.
right.
I'll send you the
Yeah.
photo.
Okay.
I'm
Not-
going to
not
repost
suitable
the
for
photo
work.
for everybody.
Oh, just make sure Michaela's okay with it. But my question is a little bit easier, I think. But we didn't prep you for it, so I apologize. You can take all the time you need. Us as a podcast, we have a Spotify playlist, and we like to ask our interviewees if they would like to add a song. So it could be anything that you like to listen to while working out or just anything that pumps you up. Your choice. Feel free to add whatever you want.
That's a great question.
It's a big deal. It's like you get a song on the playlist.
And it's like one song. People who know me like more personally, I guess, I'm horrible at like favorites. I'm horrible at making decisions in general. Like I see too many sides of everything. Like signing up for races, it's like 2 days before. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. Dang. I think it's also hard because I don't actually run with music like ever.
Yeah, I know a lot of people sometimes don't, but for me, I have to, or else like I get annoyed by my breathing and like my footsteps. Like it's just not, I don't know, it's not zen for me. I need to have like the metronome kind of thing going on in my head with the music, the beats. So
I guess one song that I listened to a lot when I listened to music when I was running is Bad Guy by Billie
Eilish, yes. That is a good one. That one reminds me of
Bad Guy.
Oh, yes.
Isn't that the theme song right now to that Bad Guys movie? It's a kids
that's the
movie.
animated one. I don't
but
know,
I think that's
actually.
the theme song. It's like a bunch of bad guys. They need to be good to stay out of jail, and it's so hard for them to be good, and they just want to like steal and take things. Yeah, I think it's the same song as the theme song. What kind of content do you take on TV? Do you watch TV shows or Netflix or movies?
Usually shows, but I guess I just don't watch I don't watch a ton of TV really. My husband and I watch Criminal Minds or Grey's Anatomy like on repeat when we eat dinner. Like we've seen both like 3 times through, but we just keep watching them. Yeah.
Billie Eilish, Bad Guys.
It's yours. It's on there.
Yeah.
You already added it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Nice.
that's how I remember how I remember who
It's a
picks
good
it and what, so it's on the list.
Erika, you're on the fly, signing up for races, adding songs to the Spotify playlist.
I have my shit together. This is a new year. I have my shit together.
Yes. Anything else you want to talk? Do you want to plug any other sponsors or ambassadorships you got? Do you any more good stories for us?
I should talk about athletic brewing. So it's January. A lot of people do dry January. I'm actually going to do dry January just because, I don't know, I was enjoying alcohol in the holidays and now I'm like, I never want to see it again. So I'm doing dry January. Last year I did dry-ish January. But for those interested, Athletic Brewing makes non-alcoholic beer and non-alcoholic, they do have some seltzers now called Day Pack.
Oh, cool.
But anyways, yeah, the first time you order, and if you use my code, I think it's also in my link tree, it's Ruth A20, you get 20% off. And then the link in my link tree just supports me. So if you shop using the link in my link tree, I get ambassador credit or whatever.
Very cool.
It's something really nice to try. And I take them with me when I go places just to have something. And they're really good. So
yeah,
Awesome.
everyone go check Ruth out. She is on Instagram at Run with Ruth. And right there in the bio, you can click on her link tree and you can see where you can sign up to be on that wait list. You can get a 30-minute coaching call, Athletic Brewing, You Can, Whoop, Runner's Empire, and Inside Tracker, all there on her link tree you got there. So that's awesome. I really enjoyed this.
Me too.
That story about peeing your pants a dozen times in Chicago was pretty great.
that took the cake.
It all led to an epic performance. So congratulations.
It did. I texted my coach. I was like, I literally peed my way to a unicorn. Like, I don't know how that happened, but that's my summary for everybody.
That's right. And the plan is Boston 2024.
Yeah, if I apply and get in, my buffer is only about a minute. So I ran a 3:29:05. And I needed under 3:30. So
Well, with the way things have been going, I mean, they
I
have
know.
not had any extra cutoffs. So fingers
I know.
crossed for you.
When
knock
would
on wood, fingers crossed.
when would this be? When would you know?
Oh, it won't be until next fall.
I think September,
So
like early
the
September.
application
Sound right?
September. Yeah.
So if it happens, Erika's usually volunteer. She's actually wearing her Boston Marathon hoodie right now.
I ran it back in 2018, and I just felt like wearing this today. So
I love that.
And she ran it in a snowstorm. And you being from Dallas, a typical person from Dallas would freak out, but you're really from Buffalo, so
she'd be good.
you'd be fine.
Plan for everything,
Right.
though.
I love it. I'd be like, yeah.
Definitely plan for everything.
So the last couple of years, Erika's been a volunteer. I hope to be one this year, but she's at the Mile 2 water station.
Stop. Yep. So we'll see if I can
Awesome.
keep that spot.
And she wears flamingo headband with big flamingos above her
I
head.
try to make sure that people, if like friends are running, that I would love to cheer you on as you run by. So I try to just pick it out, and people will yell my name, and I'll be like, "Yes, it's you, Amanda. There you are, Holly. There you are, Sarah. There you are, Denise. Yes." So we had some fun the last time I wore those. So I'm gonna keep them
great.
going.
Well, I really hope you do get to run Boston in 2024 and that you come up here and we get to meet you at the same
I'll
time.
have a Ruth. There you are.
Yes,
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. I really hope so too. Knock on wood.
Yes.
Well, this was a blast. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for agreeing to do this and tell us about you peeing your pants and pooping your pants and all that. So, and to tell us about your coaching. You are our first running coach.
Yes.
That's awesome. I feel honored, honestly. Thank you.
Well, it's really our pleasure to have you. So thank you again for sharing all your stories and spending time with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to seeing y'all on social media somewhere too.
All right, let's give it up for Ruth. She was so much fun. And I am so bummed we hadn't met yet, because if I had met her at Chicago, we would have hit it off perfectly. But she had an amazing race, got her BQ, and hopefully we'll be meeting her when she heads to Boston.
That's right. Hopefully she gets in for 24. She doesn't know yet. Not until what? The fall?
September.
Or the next,
She'll know September.
Right. So
that's
this
when
coming
it
September,
opens.
she'll know if she's in Boston for 2024 because she got
Fingers
the BQ.
crossed for you.
Yes, I hope so.
Gonna be
because that would be fun to meet you and to hang out and maybe jump in one of your reels, one of those fun reels you do, which we still got to get better at. But
yep, we're working on it.
I love one thing she talked about in that podcast interview we did with her, the Runiversary. And you know this now because we've done a couple interviews.
We've been talking about it. Yeah.
I'll interview someone. I go, when's your Runiversary? Or maybe we'll call it your Raceversary because I'm like, you were like, I can't think of my last one, my first ever day I ran.
It was so hard to remember when I first consistently kept running. Yeah,
but your
it's hard.
first race is a memory that you pretty much remember, whether it's like a little kids healthy race or it's a 5K or you just jumped into the marathon. You kind of remember. So we'll call it the Raceversary, the Runiversary Race Edition.
That's not confusing at all.
So tell me, we kind of gave a little bit of a teaser, but where were you yesterday? And maybe we can get into who you ran into.
There we go. So I ran the Boston Prep 16 miler, which is what it says. It is a Boston Prep race and full of hills. It'll get you ready for a Heartbreak Hill. It's kind of sucky though. Was not my favorite thing. But I did have the extreme fortune to get to meet. Should I drop the name? Should I?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's drop the name. Let's do it. Let's drop the name who you ran into. We can't tease them without dropping the name. We teased them before. We said if you listened to the Mike Beeman episode and you knew who his college roommate was from that episode, you would know. But who was Mike Beeman's college roommate at Merrimack College?
It was Dave McGilvray, the Boston Marathon race director. I just happened to be parked right across from him. And little old me, walked over and was like, "Excuse me, are you Dave McGilvray?" And made a fool out of myself. But it was just really nice to get to talk to him. I dropped Mike's name and said he shared some stories about you back in college, and only good things. And yeah, so hopefully we'll have a new fan of the show and Dave, it was very nice to meet you, and I appreciate you taking some time to talk to me because I don't know, I was kind of starstruck. Everybody knows about you, especially in the New England area.
And I'm so proud of you. You've come a long way because in the past I've been like, Erika, that's so-and-so. Go say something to them. Or you said, I saw so-and-so. And I'm like, did you say anything? You're like, no, I didn't. I couldn't.
It's
but
so
this time...
embarrassing for me. It's just very hard for me to go bother somebody. Like that's all you. You'll be like, hey, let's talk about the pod. And I'm like, should I go over there? I don't know.
Let me tell you,
but
I feel
I'm glad
that way.
I did. It was really cool to meet him.
And you gave him, I think you had some stickers or magnets on hand.
I did. So I was trying to write a note on the back of the sticker, but my pen that I had in my car was all frozen and wouldn't write. So it was like coming out really crappy. So I grabbed a magnet too, and I was going to leave him on his car. But then I saw him walking over. So I went over again and I reintroduced myself because the first time around, I don't even think I said my name. I did say the podcast name, but just not mine. But I don't know. It was very awkward. That's what happens when I meet people of stature.
Well, I know you did say your name at one point because he did reach out and messaged us.
Yes.
And he said, Erika, it was so nice to meet you.
Well,
and
the pleasure is all mine, Dave, really.
I was like, what is this message? Because I run the Facebook and the Instagram and the messaging. I'm like, holy cow, what just happened?
I mean, I did what I could, and not to leave anybody out, I did get to see Tara Watt there, who crushed that course because she's training for Boston. And I also got to see Nicole. She was running the 5-miler, just dropped in. So it was really nice to run into her again and got to see a couple other familiar faces. So
I love both those girls.
The race was the low point.
Hey,
honestly,
it's only going to make you stronger.
Do you know what they call this? Moderately challenging, quote unquote.
Moderately challenging.
Yeah, it's you're running like up a hill. You turn a corner and it's like a 14-degree grade, I swear. And I was like, nope, not running this. But so I give credit to Tara. She ran the entire thing. I walked up some hills. I'm not going to deny it. It was tough.
Did you see Tara's Instagram post the other day?
Sure did.
Kind of like a before and after photo. Remember she talked about the movie. What's the running movie called?
Brittany Runs a Marathon. That's what
Brittany Runs a Marathon.
Yep.
And she said she
Girl
had a
is
photo.
killing it out there.
Right. So you look at that photo and it's just
guns?
like, yes.
Teach me your
Welcome
secrets.
to the gun show. So
yeah, I have no doubt that she could do that.
And for the fans here of Nicole, good news, you'll be hearing Nicole soon on the podcast as well.
Yes, I'm so glad we got to talk to Nicole again. She's so much fun. If you guys are looking for a new best friend, well, we come as a package deal, me and Eric. So, but we love you, Nicole. You're so much fun.
Well, that was great. I'm so glad you. That's so cool. You ran into him, and I'm so proud that you.
Your skills are rubbing off on me, man.
Yeah. And you know what it's kind of like? I had the same, it's anxiety. I have it every time I go up and talk to someone too. I had it with Mike Beeman. I was like, how do I do this? Because I first wanted you to come with me. And you're like, no, you're on your own. And you left me on my own. But it's kind of like. I got to talk to
Mike for a couple minutes, but you were the one you like to toot our horn. For lack of a better word.
Yeah. No, got to do it. Got to toot the horn. Got to pump the tires. You know, we got something good going on here.
Beep,
so
beep.
I love and thank you to everyone who listens, our listeners. You guys are awesome. We learned that about half of you listen while driving. I did that poll the other day. Got quite a few responses. I mean, when I say quite a few, before you're like, what did we get, like 3 or 4? No, we got like 40-something responses.
No way.
Yeah. So
way to go, everybody.
Right. Hannah, my sister, wanted to just say, I don't listen for any of those. I only listen on the subway. I go, I call driving commuting, so you can do that one.
Okay.
And then Katie called me out. I had a typo on the word house.
Hozu. I had to look because I didn't notice it first. I was like, oh, I do it driving, and that was it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You guys know that I even listen to us in the car on the way to work.
Is it weird listening to yourself?
I got over that. It was in the beginning, but I'm used to it now.
So I don't really listen to the podcast after I edit it. All I do is when it pulls up, when it populates, I do check it one time and I kind of like fast forward through a few parts just to see how we sound. Like, did I screw something up? Is the audio really bad here or there? And then I'm good. And so, because when I edit, I basically listen to it.
Well, you
2
listen
times
to
editing.
it a long time.
Yeah.
But we record and we have a couple episodes banked kind of. So like interviews and stuff. So I kind of forget at times. So it's nice to be able to hear the whole thing put together.
Well, and then speaking of one that just came out, which we recorded in December, the response to Alex Larson was amazing. Like now I'm slowly getting more and more responses. Like, I love that one. Whether it's a DM or a comment, I've never gotten so many responses for Alex. And I kind of thought, okay, she's a nutritionist. We'll see how this goes. Everyone loved the information they got from it. 2 people, in fact, said, I think I'm going to reach out to her this year.
Oh, that's great.
Right.
I'm so
and
happy.
I hope when you do, you say, I heard you on the On the Runs podcast. And Alex even came back to me and said, I had so much fun. I'll come on whenever you want. So like
right on.
we have fun. We learn at the same time. We share the stories. This has been awesome. So I know we say that every time at the end of the podcast,
well,
but
it's
I just
true.
want to thank everyone for listening. So it is, we do got to get going though. It is late. We are trying, I hope you guys like what we're trying with these new videos that you're going to see video clips up on the gram. So that's, hopefully you guys like that.
And do enjoy the blonde, or no, that's gray hair. That's gray hair streak. I keep noticing it in the camera.
Someone earlier we just interviewed said you got that Elsa stripe right there.
No, Rogue from X-Men. Yeah, I like that.
Okay, cool. Well, I don't have to
Coming
worry
in
about my hair. Just my Mr. Clean Shine. So,
just a smidge.
Well, everybody, thank you again. Don't forget, follow us on Instagram. We're at On The Runs. You can email us. Our email address is at ontherunspod@gmail.com. And if you are listening to us on a platform app like Apple Podcast or Spotify or something where you can give us a rating or review, do that for us. We would love that. That would be amazing. So we'd love to see your comments. And you know what? If you got critical ones too, we can take it. If we got any haters out there one day we're going to get a hater. You know what that means? That means we made it.
Until that day.
Until that day, Erika, take us away.
Don't forget to stretch.
3, 2, 1.
The Addams Family. Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
Oh yeah,
Da-da-da-da.
my dad used to sing that when he did dishes.
So it's like another Addams Family movie, but it's about the daughter, and her name is Wednesday, and she goes to another school. So there's this dance, and they took the Bloody Mary song from Lady Gaga. I'm going to play it for you, just like this song.
I've never heard that before.
I don't know what that is. I'm sorry.
Don't feel bad. I'm on the same boat.